The improving situation in Florida, where firefighters say they're gaining the upper hand. Reinforcements are pouring in from across the country, and the weather forecast calls for much-needed rain.
This rain coming in is very critical to us for the next few days of where we're headed with this fire.
The president and the prosecutor, the independent counsel's investigation is moving toward critical mass.
Our job is to gather the evidence, assess the evidence. If that standard is reached, we're going to send it up to the House of Representatives.
They kept the parties apart in Northern Ireland today. The Protestants marched, but the peace process is still intact.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by John Siegenthaler.
And good evening, everyone. They're praying for rain tonight in Florida after another long weekend of smoke and flames. More than 30,000 people still can't return to their homes. But there were signs today that firefighters may be getting the upper hand and that Mother Nature may be cooperating. However, wildfires continue to burn in 28 of Florida's 67 counties, with the most intense fires burning along that state's east coast. NBC's Kerry Sanders from Flagler County tonight.
At the Prince of Peace Catholic Church in Central Florida today, prayers for an end to the fires. In 4 counties, more than 120,000 people remain evacuated, ordered from their homes 6 days ago. Only miles from the fires, the church serves as a sanctuary from the choking smoke.
It's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare.
The weary congregation from the Riverbend Community Church held its service this morning in a public auditorium.
Send an abundance of rain. Land is parched and the fires are raging.
The Riverbend Church sits inside the fire zone. Susan Powell was here praying for rain. Susan, her husband, their teenage son, and the pet dogs are temporarily calling this office home.
My house doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. My kids mean a lot to me.
Early this morning and throughout the day, the news was again encouraging. Calm winds and high humidity allowed the 5,000 firefighters here to keep the 260 blazes contained. And there's something new in the forecast: much-needed rain.
This rain coming in is very critical to us for the next few days of where we're headed with this fire.
In Tennessee, Georgia, Virginia, and Maryland today, fresh fire crews and equipment left to join the fight.
Helping out our brothers just for the common good.
Florida officials count more than 160 homes destroyed by the fires, but for every house that burned, there are hundreds that have been saved. In church today, a standing ovation for the firefighters, heroes whose work may last for months. Kerry Sanders, NBC News, Palm Coast, Florida.
And now to the investigation of President Clinton. The word today from Washington is that the next few weeks will be crucial. NBC's John Palmer reports.
Upbeat reports on the president's trip to China will, according to his aides, increase his popularity with the added benefit of strengthening his hand in dealing with independent counsel Kenneth Starr. This, as Starr's spokesman Charles Backley indicated today, that the investigation into Mr. Clinton's relationship with Monica Lewinsky is entering its final phase.
There will come to a point where we have received all the information we're going to get from the people who are available to us. And that point is approaching. And the people who are not available to us at the moment are Ms. Lewinsky, the president, and Mr. Lindsay.
Presidential confidant Bruce Lindsay's testimony is being held up while the courts decide the issue of attorney-client privilege. Efforts to get Monica Lewinsky to testify are bogged down in stalled negotiations over terms for granting her immunity from prosecution. And White House aides say it's highly unlikely that the president will ever voluntarily agree to testify before the grand jury.
There's an important constitutional principle at issue, namely the separation of powers, that really does need to be vindicated. It's not fair in that regard to say if he has nothing to hide, he should just testify.
The independent counsel's office believes Starr has the right to subpoena the president and says Starr would not hesitate to indict Monica Lewinsky if he felt that was the best legal course to take. And they say there will be no interim report to Congress, only a final one if necessary. John Palmer, NBC News at the White House.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, California versus Markasev. LA law is on trial yet again. And later in focus, climbing corporate ladders by building their own corporations.
What?
Do you have too much cholesterol?
Where'd you hear about cholesterol?
School, and they said a lot isn't good for your heart.
That's right.
Is that why we're watching what we eat now?
Yeah, on Cheerios.
An important new study shows that 3 cups of Cheerios whole grain oats a day added to a low-fat diet can help push your cholesterol down.
We're fighting cholesterol right now.
Well, then have more, Dad.
Holding power is the most important thing in a denture adhesive.
Watch. Super Polygrip has improved holding power.
Yikes! That's incredible. Improved Super Polygrip holds a lot better than my brand.
Improved Super Polygrip.
I want to try it.
You're a winner in the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes.
Thank you.
Making dreams come true. We've been doing it for over 30 years. Since 1967, we've spread smiles
I can't believe it!
and laughter and tears of joy. These winning moments have been special for them and special for us too. We're Publishers Clearinghouse, and we look forward to surprising you August 20th.
The peace process in Northern Ireland dodged a symbolic bullet today when violence was avoided during a historic march by Protestants. But there is trouble tonight in Belfast. Cars set afire, rocks thrown. NBC's Kevin Tibbles has been tracking events all day.
In a show of force, 5,000 Protestant Orangemen parade the streets of Portadown, Northern Ireland, the largest turnout ever. They made their way to a Protestant church before attempting to walk down a road through a nearby Catholic neighborhood. But it was here they were stopped by police and British soldiers, sealed in by barbed wire and barricades set up to keep them out. To avoid the violence of past years, the march through the Catholic area was banned. The Orangemen say they won't leave until they're allowed to proceed.
The brethren of Portadown are happy to stand here for a day, 31 days, 365 days. We will stand here as long as is necessary for the basic rights of our people to be restored.
Some tried to breach the ring of steel around them and were quickly arrested. So far, the barricades and barbed wire have done their job, but the Orangemen camped out in this field vowed they're going to stay there until the blockade is lifted. And that's what has the Catholic residents worried at the other end of this road. The Catholics fear a repeat of 2 years ago when hundreds of Orangemen forced the authorities to back down and let them march. The result was widespread violence throughout Northern Ireland.
Well, my concern is certainly that it's not over yet and that we are into probably a long siege.
Today's march presents the biggest challenge yet to Northern Ireland's new peace deal. But California Senator Tom Hayden, on hand as an observer, says he's confident cooler heads will prevail.
So I think the peace process, with whatever agony lies ahead, is a reality, and it will gradually sink in.
Tonight, hundreds of Orangemen remain on the road, refusing to leave, setting a tone of confrontation that may carry on through next weekend when more marches are planned throughout the north. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Portadown, Northern Ireland.
Final arguments begin tomorrow in the murder trial of the Ukrainian immigrant accused of killing the only son of actor-comedian Bill Cosby. NBC's Farland Chang has been covering the trial.
They've spent 11 days in room 202 of the Santa Monica courthouse listening to evidence. Soon, the 6-man, 6-woman jury will get to decide whether 19-year-old Michael Markasev shot and killed Ennis Cosby along this lonely road.
The trial is taking place just one courtroom over from where the O.J. Simpson civil trial was held. And comparisons between this case and the Simpson criminal trial are hard to ignore.
In both of the defenses, they attacked the police officers, and they attacked the investigation.
DNA evidence, for example.
That laboratory is a cesspool of contamination.
In the Simpson case, it was blood at the crime scene. In the Markasev case, it's a single strand of hair found in a knit cap wrapped around the murder weapon. A police criminologist was forced to admit the hair was not discovered until 11 months after the cap was found.
That hair was not found initially when the police examined that hat. It appeared
days, weeks, or months later, which suggests the possibility that the hair was planted. So once again, we have a police conspiracy theory.
In both trials, the police were accused of a rush to judgment. Simpson claimed promising leads were ignored. Markasev's lawyer claims police never allowed the woman, whose description was the basis for their composite sketch of the murderer, to see a photograph of Markasev's friend, Eli Zachariah, who admits being there that night. The defense suggests Zachariah actually did the shooting. And checkbook journalism has tainted both trials. A woman set to testify that she saw Simpson near the murder scene was dropped after she sold her story to a syndicated TV show. And in the Markasev trial, testimony from a man who claims the defendant admitted the Cosby murder was challenged because of money he has received from a tabloid newspaper. Tomorrow there will be no courtroom cameras when the final phase of the Markasev case begins. The Simpson case played out before millions.
You have the blooded Bundy. You have the blood of Nicole on his socks. You have his blood on the rear gate at Bundy.
This man, this defendant, O.J. Simpson, we believe that given the state and the quality of the evidence, is guilty.
This is a case of reasonable doubt. This is a case of an innocent man.
In the Simpson case, people talked about a mountain of evidence. In this case, there's barely a molehill.
And if convicted, Markasev faces life in prison without the possibility of parole. Farland Chang, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Negotiations between General Motors and United Auto Workers representatives failed to result in an agreement this holiday weekend. The strike, which is now heading into its second month, has idled nearly 172,000 workers in North American plants and virtually halted auto production. When NBC Nightly News continues, closing the gap in cyberspace.
My dad was here. Never talked about it much. Said you had to be there. Well, here I am. Hey, old man, how you doing?
Ty, you still in Singapore?
No, I'm on leave. I'm in Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Yeah.
Let's talk, son.
Yeah.
Jeff doesn't run for glory. He runs for Jeff. Always further than the day before. And Advil brings him there. It works fast, right at the site of body pain. Muscle aches to headaches. Advil simply lets people do what they love to do.
I lead a hectic life. Sometimes I get irregular. So I take something I can trust. Correctol.
Now even more women trust Correctol to work gently overnight.
Like clockwork.
Monday. Does it seem like movies are getting louder? They are. You'll be surprised by what Hollywood is doing now that customers buy popcorn and bring earplugs. NBC Nightly News, Monday.
In focus this evening, how women are gaining ground in the high-tech workplace. The story from NBC's Chip Reed.
Opportunities abound, and opportunities that place a premium on brains over brawn.
Words of encouragement for an unusual crowd of computer industry executives, all women.
You keep the balance. No one's controlling you. You can make it happen.
In a business historically dominated by men at the top, nearly 5,000 women executives showed up for a Women in Technology conference recently in California's Silicon Valley, the cradle of America's computer industry. Right now, only about 2% of women working for technology companies are high-level executives, compared to more than 5% in business overall. Some say that's evidence of a silicon ceiling, keeping women from rising to the top. But these women represent a new wave. They are entrepreneurs. Kim Palazzi says that rather than climb the corporate ladder at a huge technology company, she promoted herself by quitting.
I'm seeing the market segment now repeated again and again.
And starting her own company, which makes software. So far, it's a roaring success.
There are many more opportunities for women in the high technology industry because the growth is so explosive right now. There is so much going on, so much that needs to be built. And women have proven in many cases that they have just as much ability to do that as men do.
And it's not just Silicon Valley. Here in Northern Virginia, sometimes called Silicon Valley of the East, more and more women are discovering that with good ideas and hard work, they can thrive in the world of high tech. Is there a glass ceiling in the high tech business?
I don't think so. I really don't think there are any limits on what...
Kathy Clark was a programmer at Blue Cross Blue Shield when she and a coworker developed computer software to improve efficiency in the office. It worked so well, they created their own company.
I need to fly out of Osaka and end up in Denver.
Now, a woman who didn't go to college and might have remained a mid-level manager at a big company runs her own high-tech business with offices around the world.
The best way to become CEO of a company for a woman is to start your own. Many women who have found barriers in the large organizations are quitting that and going off and forming their own companies and doing it quite successfully.
And some analysts say the high-tech industry is undergoing a major transformation, giving small companies more opportunities.
In this field, you're judged by what you can do, what you bring to the table, your ideas, how bright you are. Not by the color of your skin, your gender, your ethnicity. It's what you know. And many women know a lot, and they're doing very, very well in these small companies.
One of the greatest women entrepreneurs in Washington, if not the country. Kathy Clark is an example of that. She was recently honored as a Washington Area Entrepreneur of the Year. Chip Reed, NBC News, Northern Virginia.
And when we continue, justice delayed and justice denied.
I got rid of my gray hair in just 5 minutes, and I love the natural highlights and shine.
Now there's revolutionary Just 5, the only 5-minute hair color for women that gently blends away gray in 5 minutes without changing your natural color, while extra conditioners leave hair soft and shiny.
Beautiful hair in just 5 minutes.
Just 5, the only 5-minute hair color for women.
1 minute Malox.
In hospitals, speed counts. Fast-acting medicines, doctors rely on them. So when patients get heartburn, they get 1 minute Malox, not Pepsid AC.
Malox goes to work on stomach acid in 1 minute. Pepsid AC could take over 45 minutes to affect acid.
1 minute Malox.
Hospitals count on it.
Shouldn't you?
The #1 choice for hospitals. It's not Pepsid AC. It's 1 minute Malox.
Hong Kong. It's part of an exciting new world that's growing so fast you never know where it's going to grow next. So with our worldwide reputation for meeting the toughest deadlines, we at Caterpillar aren't surprised to find ourselves involved in the world's largest construction project, Hong Kong's new airport. In the only place Hong Kong had room for it, the South China Sea.
I have the cleanest and the nicest smelling bathroom in the neighborhood.
Since I put Vanish Hang-Ins in, I actually haven't gone back to clean it.
I haven't seen any stains. The dispenser is the key item. It's easy to maintain, that's what it is. It's easy to maintain. Drop the tablet into the dispenser, hang it on your tank, and just flush.
The Vanish Hang-Ins repels the stains. There's no ring.
Vanish Hang-Ins repels stains and leaves your bowl sanitary. S.C. Johnson Wax.
If anybody doesn't believe me, ring my doorbell and you can smell my toilet.
Dateline Sunday. Look at these faces. The faces of men who went to Vietnam. Comrades, soldiers. They fought because America asked them to. Some died there. Some came home with scars that never healed. Now they meet again. Look at these faces. Hear their stories on a very special Dateline. 8/7 Central, NBC tonight.
Now to the former Yugoslavia, where fighting between Serbs and ethnic Albanians in the province of Kosovo threatens to set off another civil war. U.S. Special Envoy Richard Holbrooke spent the weekend trying to broker a peace agreement for the Serb-held region, where ethnic Albanians make up most of the population. Serb police and Albanian rebels clashed again this weekend. More than 300 people have been killed since the fighting resumed this spring. The diplomatic mission resumes in Kosovo tomorrow. The year was 1980. The United States, still embroiled in the Cold War, was supporting a military junta in El Salvador in its struggle against communist guerrillas. The brutal murder that December of 4 American churchwomen working with the poor in El Salvador provoked outrage here. And when some low-level Salvadoran military personnel were convicted of the murders, there were cries of cover-up. Now, some of those men are about to get out of prison, and they're confirming the worst. Here's NBC's Mike Betcher.
From inside this stifling El Salvador prison, a startling revelation. 2 inmates, former National Guardsmen, now claim they acted on orders from above when they raped and murdered 4 American churchwomen 18 years ago.
This was planned by the High Command of the Armed Forces.
We didn't even know who these people were.
If true, the revelation could implicate former top commanders of the Salvadoran military and embarrass the U.S. government which supported them. 5 National Guardsmen remained silent as they were convicted and sentenced to 30 years for the killings. Now 3 of them have been granted parole. Private Daniel Ramirez, one of those set for release, says this man, his sergeant, got orders to kill the nuns from a colonel by phone.
Immediately after hanging up the phone, he said, you, gear up. You're going on assignment.
The assignment, he says, murder. To execute the 4 American churchwomen because they were suspected of sympathizing with the communists.
76,000 people died in the Salvadoran Civil War. But the murders of the 4 American churchwomen created an international outcry that still resonates to this day.
Back then, the war against communist rebels required massive U.S. aid and excused many atrocities. The Salvadoran government had little trouble convincing the Reagan administration the killing of the nuns was just an unfortunate incident, contrary to what U.S. Ambassador Robert White reported at the time.
That this was an assassination by the Salvadoran military.
Now, for the first time, White publicly names a prime suspect.
Probably Lieutenant Colonel Casanova.
NBC News could not locate the colonel. His cousin, who ran the National Guard in El Salvador, has retired to Florida with his medals of commendation from the U.S. government, despite a UN report that accuses him of at least a cover-up of the churchwomen's murders.
Believe me, from the bottom of my heart, I have never had anything to do either in the planning or the cover-up of such an event.
This former National Guardsman says his conscience has forced him to speak out.
I am signing my death warrant by giving you my statement.
A courageous gesture, but one legal experts say is unlikely to lead to further prosecutions. The murders of the churchwomen is an ugly episode officials here and in Washington would rather not reopen. Mike Betcher, NBC News, San Salvador.
When NBC Nightly News continues in a moment, how they measure those tape measure homers without using tape.
The other day, I'm driving down Broadway when that pastrami on rye catches up with me. Heartburn, big time. My passenger says, here, take a Zantac 75. I say, what are you, a doctor? And he says, yeah.
The medicine in Zantac 75 is the #1 doctor-prescribed acid reducer. It relieves even your toughest heartburn, controlling acid for up to 12 hours.
A real gentleman, that doctor.
Zantac 75, the final word in heartburn relief.
It was a radical plan to create a quiet muffler that could also help make your engine more efficient. Introducing the new Walker Quiet Flow muffler. With exclusive sound-absorbing fiber and a free-flow design, Quiet Flow offers a combination of quiet and efficiency no other muffler can match. The new Quiet Flow muffler, only from Walker. Run quiet, run better. For the Walker Quiet Flow dealer nearest you, call 1-888-RUN-SILENT.
Fibercon or Metamucil, both have fiber for regularity. But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
I don't just paste my dentures anymore. Now I bond them with C-Bond denture adhesive.
Only C-Bond is a soft, micro-thin seal with 2 powerful adhesives that bond dentures to your gums, so they can hold and fit comfortably all day.
I can bite and chew with confidence.
And C-Bond is easier to use than pastes or powders with no messy cleanups.
I'll never paste my dentures again. I bond them with C-Bond.
Bond your dentures with C-Bond.
Your used car could have a deadly past. Learn how to tell if you're driving a rebuilt wreck. On Weekend Magazine, call your cable or satellite provider for MSNBC.
And finally, when it comes to baseball, distance matters. It's about hitting a 9-inch sphere that weighs about 5 ounces and is made out of yarn wrapped around a rubbery core, covered with animal hide, 100 yards or more. That said, here's NBC's Stan Bernard.
Lots of home runs this year, a record pace for the All-Star break. But this year the buzz is about distance as well as quantity. And if there is a player who has stretched the tape measure on how far a baseball can be consistently hit, it's Mark McGwire. He draws thousands hours before the game just to see him in batting practice. Even other players gape with wonder.
I like to see them really fly. Wow, awesome.
Another long ball hitter on that perfect moment which almost defies description.
There's no feeling to the ball off the bat. Great feeling. It's the best feeling in the game. I think it's good for baseball, especially when you got a guy like McGwire hitting them 500 feet. You know, yeah, people want to know what the distance is and how far they go.
And how do they estimate distance? In the last decade, every ballpark has been surveyed to measure distances to various places in the stands and how far those seats are above the ground. And was the ball a line drive, a fly ball, or a high fly, which would factor into where the ball would land if the seats were not there?
How high is it? 45 high, so I'd go regular or high fly.
This homer hit the bleachers between 2 measured points. Seconds later, they make their calculations.
It hit it 410 feet, and we'll add 23 to that. Projected 433 feet on the homer. 433. We're guessing a whole lot on a whole lot of things.
There is an argument raging over those guesses on how far a baseball can be hit. Babe Ruth hit them far and often enough to build this place. And before there was a measuring system, Mickey Mantle hit one off the old upper facade here at Yankee Stadium that witnesses swore would have gone 600 feet. And some of us want to believe it. Whether watching or playing, at any age, the words home run are synonymous with perfection.
Everyone's cheering for you and stuff, and it's like makes you feel happy.
You hear the ping of the bat and you know it's gone.
When I hit him, and I know I've hit him.
The home run, whether it just clears the fence or goes 500 feet, is still the most electrifying moment in the game. Stan Bernard, NBC News, New York.
And that is NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. Here's Jane Pauley with a preview of tonight's edition of Dateline.
Thanks, John. Coming up on Dateline, they were ready to take on the world, even if it meant going to war, but they had no idea what was coming.
We're at the bottom of this hill, and there's tables lined up. And there's ham sandwiches and Coke and vegetables and food, hot meal. And we're thinking, uh-oh, something is up.
The extraordinary story of a battle fought when they were just boys. A generation later, they are still united in memory and ready for a final rescue. John?
Thanks, Jane. Tomorrow, Tom Brokaw will be here. I'm John Sigenthaler. I'll see you weekday mornings on MSNBC. Have a good night.
NBC News, America's news leader.
It's not